My fiancé was the empire's brightest scholar, a man of elegance, talent, and promise. On our wedding day, I entered the red bridal palanquin with joy in my heart and stepped straight into a lie. When the veil was lifted, the man waiting for me was not the celebrated laureate I was meant to marry, but my childhood rival, the one I swore I'd never see again, the young Marquis Meng. Chapter 1. When I was 16, my mother took me to the eldest princess's birthday banquet. All the women there were beautiful, the men were handsome too. Then, without warning, the emperor arrived. Amid the flurry of court ladies, he spotted me at once. "Whose daughter is that?" someone asked. The eldest princess smiled. "She's the only daughter of General Shi, not yet married." The emperor stroked his beard and smiled oddly. When we left the palace, my mother's face had gone pale. She gripped my hand so tightly it went cold. A few days later, the court announced that the emperor would expand his harem. Eligible unmarried girls from every noble household were to be presented. Only then did I realize how serious this was. The emperor, now past 40, had many concubines. Rumor had it he had taken several favorites in a single night. My parents panicked. The lamps in our house stayed lit all night as they tried to figure out a plan. Finally, they decided they must marry me off quickly. My father, usually timid, straightened up for the first time and said through clenched teeth, "The palace only takes unmarried girls for selection. If Lin becomes married, she won't be taken. I command 200,000 troops. What can he do to me?" he added. So, they quietly began to look for a husband for me. A few days later, 2 families came to propose. My mother asked me in a low voice, "Leon Meng or Shan Zhang, which do you prefer?" "Of course Shan Zhang," I answered without hesitation, using elimination to choose. Leon Meng and Shan Zhang were about the same age, each a few years older than me. Leon had taken over his family's manor at 18. Shan was this year's top scholar, riding a tide of fame. To outsiders, both were excellent matches. But I knew their characters were worlds apart, and I had a grudge against Leon. Our house stood on Vermilion Avenue. To the west was Meng Manor, farther west was Zhang Residence. The 3 mansions were connected. When old Marquis Meng celebrated his 60th birthday, my father went as a guest. My mother stayed home with a chill and worried. "Your father can't control himself when there's liquor. Don't let him come home drunk again." Being dutiful, I ran to the west yard. There was a hole in the wall, a secret way Leon and I used to communicate. If I called, he would appear. "Leon, my father is at your house. Could you tell him not to drink?" I asked. Leon looked uncomfortable. "Your father is an elder and a guest. It wouldn't be right for me to interfere." I thought the same. So I begged him to break the hole open, and I crawled through to persuade my father myself. That's how I met Shan Zhang. He was about Leon's height, but entirely different in bearing. White sleeves carried the faint scent of ink. His smile was gentle. I was so taken with the new acquaintance that I forgot to stop my father from drinking. He was still brought home drunk. But the trouble didn't end there. When my family discovered I was missing, my feverish mother struggled from her sickbed and grabbed my father by the ear, demanding to know where their eldest daughter had gone. The 3 of us children had sneaked out the back gate of the Meng house and played all afternoon. Old Marquis Meng's birthday feast was interrupted. The servants and guards from the 3 mansions mobilized. All of Vermilion Avenue was in a fluster. They found us at dusk in the city god temple. I was crying my eyes out. It was over a dog. I had discovered the dog first, but Leon insisted on taking it. Only Shan behaved like a gentleman and said, "I won't take it." Our elders arrived, out of breath, and scolded each of us. In rank, old Marquis Meng outranked the others. Even when he told Leon to give the dog to me, my mother refused to accept it. I still remember the beating I got that day. The wall of the west yard was rebuilt taller. The hole we used was sealed. Friendship with Leon was broken for good. When I wandered under that wall, I heard dogs barking and could not touch them, hold them, or see them up close. Leon would shout my name and toss little paper balls over the wall to taunt me. I threw them back. After a few days of that mischief, my mother moved me to the east wing and forbade me from ever going to the west side again. She lectured that a young lady must be quiet and proper, not playing with boys, so her reputation wouldn't be harmed. I was miserable. I told Kui in secret, Marquis, every day go to the west wall. If there are any paper balls, throw them back as hard as you can. That was my way of refusing to give in. For years I held that grudge. So when my mother asked who I wanted to marry, I insisted on Sean Zhang without hesitation. Sean would not make me cry like Leon. He wouldn't steal my dog or give me nicknames. He was gentle and learned. As a child, he had looked after me when we snuck out. Marrying him would be perfect. I dreamed happily of the life to come. In the days before the wedding, my mother suddenly asked, "Lin, I think Leon Meng isn't so bad. Are you sure you won't consider him?" I swore by the sky, no, absolutely not. I would rather die than marry Leon. My parents exchanged a look. I didn't know what it meant. At 16, I put on my bridal clothes. Although the two families lived nearby and the ceremony should have been quick, the bridal sedan lingered longer than expected. The matchmaker outside chattered happily. "What luck for the bride! The groom has decked all of Vermilion Avenue in red to celebrate. He will take you on a procession around the capital so everyone can feel the joy." I was thrilled. I had not expected Sean to value our match so much. Though we lived on the same street, my mother kept me sheltered. I had only once attended the eldest prince's birthday before and had little contact with other men. I wondered how he looked now. After the ceremony, I sat on the wedding bed, nervous, waiting for the veil to be lifted. When the moment came, I shyly raised my eyes. The man before me had striking features and an elegant bearing. The ruby on his belt made his waist look handsome. He was indeed handsome, not as handsome as ever at all. My heart hammered. After drinking from the cups we shared, the maid lifted the curtain, closed the door, and left us alone. The room was quiet. We could hear each other's breathing. The candle sometimes flared. It was our first night. We were both nervous. I knew I was pretty. Even the bridal maid who had combed countless brides said, "I've dressed many brides, but none as naturally beautiful as you." With my phoenix coronet and exquisite makeup, the candlelight made me glow. Sean seemed dazed, his gaze fixed on me. He moved closer, swallowed, and held my hand with a faint sweat. "My lady?" "Yes," I replied. "What should you call me?" he asked with a playful tone that broke the awkwardness. I glanced at him and whispered, "Husband." He smiled broadly, pulled me into his arms, and kissed my brow. I flushed and felt both shy and willing. He removed my coronet and outer robe. My fair arms were bare, and I naturally wound them around his neck. He kissed me little by little. The mood was sweet and romantic. Before marrying, my mother had shown me some paintings of what might come next. Thinking of that made me more nervous. I couldn't help but warn him, "Sean, please be gentle later. We're married now, why call me Sean?" he teased as he kissed my neck, voice heated. "You should call me, wait, what did you just say?" "Husband," I murmured lovingly. "No, earlier, what did you call me?" "Sean Zhang," I stammered, confused. Suddenly he stiffened as if woken from drink. His face turned pale. "You thought I was Sean Zhang?" He pointed at himself in disbelief. I was shocked. "You're not Sean Zhang." He drew a long breath and, trying to steady himself, said slowly, one careful word at a time. "I am Leon Meng, the young Marquis of the Zhenguo Duke's household. You don't know who you married, little Juju," he teased. The first time I ever met Leon, my hair was tied in 2 top knots and he teased me, calling me little Juju. But tonight this joke had become something much bigger. I shoved him away in fright, grabbed the quilt to cover myself, and felt ashamed and furious. I was supposed to marry Sean Zhang. How did it become you? Wait, you were to marry Sean? Leon looked equally bewildered. I personally delivered the betrothal gifts to your home. The arrangements were made, the dates checked, the sedan carried you here. You mean, you married me without knowing? I shook my head. Young Marquis Leon, this must be a mistake. I clumsily pulled on my outer robe and said, I won't disturb your wedding tonight. I must go home and find my mother. See if you can put another bride in my place. I fled with my hair disheveled, as if running for my life. In the haste of our earlier intimacy, I had lost an embroidered shoe and ran awkwardly. Leon chased after me. Linche, where are you going? Come back. Little Kwai followed too. I discovered I could run faster than I'd thought. Guards blocked the gate. I remembered the east yard of Meng Manor, joined my family's west yard. There was a peach tree by the wall, a little taller than the wall. I stood on Kwai's shoulders and clambered up, but from below it seemed closer than it really was. I couldn't jump across. I was stuck. Leon did not follow. I hung trembling and called, "Kui, what shall I do?" Kui had no good answer. I cupped my hands and shouted for my parents. The servants fetched them quickly. My parents looked up at me baffled. "Lin, our wedding day, what drama is this?" I burst into tears and demanded to know why they had married me to Leon when I was supposed to wed Shan Zhang. My father opened his mouth several times, but my mother shot him a look and cut him off. Leon arrived, panting, holding an embroidered shoe. From my high perch, I glared down. "Leon, this marriage doesn't count. I'll have my parents explain it properly." I tried to send him signals. My father calmly said, "Is our worthy son-in-law here?" Across the wall, Leon bowed. "Yes, your son-in-law pays respects. There's been a misunderstanding. Lin thought she was to marry into the Zhang household. We ask you, please clarify this for us." My mother's face flickered. Then she said with a forced smile, "Lin, we were in a rush arranging your wedding and I forgot to tell you. Your husband is now young Marquis Leon." My father chimed in, Yes, that's how it is." Leon wanted to ask more, but my father added in time, "You will come to the bride's house in 3 days for the formal return ceremony. We'll toast then." Leon breathed easy. If the marriage is correct, then I am relieved. I clung to the branch and felt like I might die of anger. My mother yawned. "Lin, the she-gate is locked. You can't go in. Talk later and rest with your husband." My father ordered the west yard's lamps out and went to bed with my mother. I hung in the tree until my head swam. Leon watched me with folded arms and suddenly laughed. I bristled. "What are you laughing at?" "Aren't you coming down?" he asked. "I won't," I said. "Then live up there," he retorted and turned to go. Quick-handed Kui grabbed his leg. "Miss, I've caught the groom. Say something nice or he'll really have to sleep up there tonight." Leon couldn't leave. I had to give in. "It's not that I won't come down, I just can't." He handed the embroidered shoe to Kui and spread his broad wedding sleeves like wings. "Jump, I'll catch you." "I won't dare." I clung to the branch. I heard a crack. The branch snapped. Leon sprang and wrapped an arm around my waist. The wind rushed past us and we landed. The branch fell. That was close. He had no intention of putting me down. "Move and I'll put you back up there," he threatened. As expected, he behaved politely and properly in front of my parents, but revealed his true self once alone. Back in the bridal chamber, he placed me on the bed. Thinking of what had happened earlier made my shame burn. He looked perplexed. "If you had known it was me, would you have been so forward?" "Can we divorce?" we both blurted simultaneously. Leon looked displeased and turned his head away. "No." "Why?" I asked angrily. "Do you want to marry Shanzhong?" he asked, ears flushed. "It wasn't that exactly. The wedding left me shaken. I didn't want to marry anyone anymore. I wanted to hide." Before I could answer, Leon assumed I agreed and said, almost cruelly, "In your dreams." The night was cool, the candle wax had pooled high, and the red wedding character shone painfully bright. He pressed close. Noses touched, lips met. "Let go of me, My protest was cut off by his kiss. All my struggle proved useless. This time he was not gentle. He meant to overwhelm me with kisses. Eventually I gave up fighting. When he came to his senses and saw me crying, he panicked. "Why are you crying?" "Sorry, I was wrong," I said, feeling utterly abandoned by my parents. He looked helpless. "Lin, don't be like that. If you want, hit me. I won't fight back." I thought for a moment. "Fine," he said that himself. I took a breath, grabbed a pillow and smashed it into him. Once, twice. Leon covered his head and fled. I chased him from the bed to the floor, hitting and scolding. "You old Marquis raised a scoundrel," I shouted. "Who gave you the nerve to molest me? You stole my dog as a child and bully me now. Where's the dog?" Leon crouched in the corner and trembling looked up. "Stop. I'll call it." Chapter 2. Leon stood in the courtyard and shouted, "Little Juju!" A small yellow dog bounded over, tail wagging, nuzzling his leg. I frowned. "Why did it get smaller under your care?" And he used my old nickname too. "It's her pup," Leon said, looking awkward. "The one from before died of old age a few years back." Silence pressed down on us. When I lost that dog, I cried for days. My parents promised to find me another, but it never felt the same. That one had a sweet temper and bright, speaking eyes. I once traded a hairpin for a steamed bun to feed her. Only later did I learn the bun seller had cheated me. Dogs live at most a dozen years. I hadn't thought our parting would be forever. Leon had raised her pup well. Its coat shone, proof of care. He seemed puzzled. Back then, I wrote you notes asking you to name the dog. Later, I told you she'd had puppies. You didn't get any of that? I realized too late. Those notes were about the dog? Of course. What, did you think I threw notes just to hit you? Leon's tone was earnest. I shouldn't have been selfish. I grabbed what you liked so you'd keep coming to me. I didn't expect the household rules to clamp down, one wall between us, and yet we couldn't meet again. But I remember everything from those days. He leaned in, eager to take my hand. I slapped his away. I scooped up the dog, climbed onto the bed, and turned my back. I'm sleeping with the dog tonight. You, out. Leon slept in the study for 3 nights. Leon was the 3rd son of old Marquis Meng and the only legitimate one. When the old Marquis died, he inherited the title. His 2 elder brothers were accomplished officials posted out of the capital. Everyone simply called them First Meng and Second Meng. Apparently, by the time the old Marquis had a 3rd son, he finally thought to give a real name. Our marriage had been sudden. His brothers hadn't made it back. They only sent gifts. Before I married in, I discovered that aside from maids, matrons, the steward, and a few lads, Leon lived alone in this huge manor. Servants said he disliked court affairs but had many hobbies: flowers, birds, and he'd even put a metal swing in the yard. I plopped onto it and jumped right up. It was hot enough to burn. One more night and I would return to my parents' home for the 3-day visit. I went to bed early, planning to ask them what trick lay behind this marriage. In the middle of the night, someone shook me awake. Leon slipped in like a ghost. There's movement at your house. I threw on a robe and followed him to the east yard that bordered Shy Manor. Lights blazed there, voices rose and fell. He gestured for silence, vaulted the wall to eavesdrop, and told me to wait. He was back soon. The Emperor has just issued a decree. Your father is to go to Human Pass to guard the border. Your mother will accompany him. They leave at once and may not return without imperial summons. Why? There had been no war for years. My father was old. With no enemy at the gates, why send him out on the very night before my return visit? A decree at midnight, forcing them to leave at once, clearly meant to keep us from meeting. Then I understood. I had skipped the consort selection and angered the dragon throne. The Emperor wanted the Shys to learn a lesson. I want to see them. Can we go? Yes, Leon answered without thinking. Palace guards kept watch outside my gate, so we couldn't walk in by the front. Luckily, Leon had prepared outfits he'd borrowed from my house, 1 maid's, 1 servant's. We scaled the wall in disguise. My parents were shocked and then wept when we appeared. I knelt and bowed. Father, Mother, you risked your future to arrange this marriage for me. I'll cherish it and get along with Leon. Please don't worry. Leon also spoke comforting words, telling them to take care and that he would look after me. On the way back, I sniffed and warned him. What I said was to calm my parents. Don't take it seriously. I still have many objections to this marriage. Leon. At daybreak, we went again to Shy Manor. With my parents gone, I acted as mistress and ordered the staff to clean my parents' rooms daily and to tend the flowers well, so that when they returned they would find spotless rooms and blossoms in full color. Leon stood under the eaves with a book and gave me a thumbs up. Didn't expect that, little Juju. I thought you only knew how to cry. Meng third. I chased him around the yard with a big broom. The dog thought I was calling her and joined, making a mess. Afraid of stepping on her, I tripped over myself and fell right into Leon's chest. It was mortifying. The Duke of Zhen's household hosted a housewarming and sent an invitation to the Mengs. Leon had new clothes made for me. As soon as we arrived, eyes turned our way. So that's Miss Shy, now the young Marchioness of the Mengs? What a beauty. No wonder someone took a fancy to her. Even as a woman, I'm smitten. Not far away stood a young man in a blue robe with a jade belt. Refined features, cultured air. He stared straight at me. I tugged Leon's sleeve. Who is that? Leon glanced over. An idiot. Then he cocked a brow. You really don't recognize him? How would I? I hadn't seen. After we sat, whispers floated by. I caught the words broken engagement. Curious, I asked, Hey, who got jilted? Leon tapped my nose. Stop listening to nonsense, which only made it sound more likely. I sighed. I don't know what happened, but when betrothals break, it's usually the woman who suffers. I hope she's strong. Leon couldn't agree more. He patted my shoulder. My lady is right. Wine flowed at the tables. I disliked the smell, so I slipped out to the lotus pond. There I saw the blue-robed man again, folding fan in hand. He bowed from a few steps away. Miss Shi, I trust you've been well. I started. Young Master Zhang? He nodded. Miss Shi, might we speak somewhere more private? The path by the pond was quiet, only a few maids hurrying by. He clearly wanted a secluded spot. I felt it improper. I was the young Marchioness of the Mengs now. If I were seen alone with Shan Zhang, tongues would wag. It would shame me and both families. There's nothing that can't be said here, Lord Zhang. He hemmed and hawed and wouldn't speak. I turned to go. He blurted out, I didn't break the engagement on purpose. There were reasons I couldn't say. Miss Shi, I truly wanted to marry you. But right after I sent the betrothal gifts, His Majesty ordered me back to the Hanlin Academy to await assignment. You know what that means? Top scholar sounds glorious, but there are top scholars every year. Some copy texts at the academy their whole lives and never gain an office. My family isn't like the Mengs with a hereditary title. If I didn't break it off, my career would be over. So that was the hidden truth. When Sean broke the betrothal, and I refused to marry Leon even if it killed me, my parents, desperate to keep me out of the palace draft, tricked me into Leon's sedan. They had planned to explain when I returned home after 3 days, but they had to leave too quickly. Thinking of how I had dreamed of marrying Sean, I felt it all ridiculous. I cleared my throat. Marriage requires 2 willing hearts. The Shis don't blame you. You needn't explain. Lotus fragrance drifted over the water. Sean's face dimmed. But General Shi said you were fond of me. To be honest. He stepped closer. His fan stirred the wisps at my temple. Seeing you today, I regret it. That, maybe it was the wine. I swayed and snapped. You broke the engagement, and now you say this. Don't you find it laughable? Sean pressed on. You don't love the young Marquis. You married him because you had no choice. I had no patience to argue. I heard people approaching, quite a group. Lord Zhang, don't follow me. Goodbye. I hurried away, but my legs went weak and my head swam. Sean rushed up. Miss Shi, are you unwell? I shook off his arm in disgust. I'd made myself clear. The people coming were clearly headed here. Did he not know the meaning of discretion? Well, it's the young Marchioness. What are you doing here with Lord Zhang? Didn't Lord Zhang end his betrothal with the Shis? What were you two tugging at just now? A cool breeze off the pond cleared my head. I grabbed the hands reaching toward me and looked pleadingly at Leon. Leon smiled. Last night I told my wife I like Lord Zhang's bird and flower paintings. She went to ask him for one on my behalf. I caught on at once and said boldly, my husband said Lord Zhang is busy and he didn't wish to disturb him. I happened to meet Lord Zhang by the pond, so I shamelessly asked. Leon flicked my nose. Borrowing flowers to offer the Buddha, are we? Then to Sean. I'll trouble Lord Zhang then. Sean froze for a heartbeat, then forced out. Thank you for the honor, young Marquis. I will deliver it myself when finished. The misunderstanding could have ended there. But someone sneered. How generous the young Marquis is. He doesn't mind his wife meeting a man in private at all. Leon's gaze cut like a blade. The lotus pond isn't private. Maids and servants pass by. If one were sneaking around, would one choose this spot? The gossiping matron flushed under his rebuke and dared not breathe. Back in the carriage, my nerves finally settled. Leon glanced over. Is your tolerance that low? You only drank half a cup. I've never had wine. I didn't know. I frowned. When Sean grabbed my arm, I felt faint. The wind cleared it. Leon touched my forehead, cool, and took my pulse. Nothing amiss. I asked why the guests had all headed toward the pond. At the feast, a maid had spilled wine and was scolded by the Duke of Zhen. She knelt and said, by the lotus pond I saw the young Marchioness with a young man. I thought he was the young Marquis, but the young Marquis was sitting right here. I was distracted and spilled the wine. Please punish me. No one cared about the maid's mistake after that. The love life of important people is always more interesting than a servant's fate. Good thing we were in sync, Leon said, pleased, patting my shoulder. Smart. I am smart, I said on purpose. Weren't you afraid I really had something with Sean, and weren't you afraid I'd make a fool of you in public? He flicked my forehead. You couldn't even recognize him on sight. What something could you have? True, I muttered. He did change a lot. If not, I wouldn't have mistaken you for. Silence fell between us, and we said nothing the rest of the way. Back home, Leon resumed his shameless plea. I want to sleep in your room. Sleeping in the study every night makes the servants laugh at me, he grumbled. I snickered. I sleep with the dog. No room for you. Leon happily made a pallet on the floor. We blew out the candles and talked in the dark. I didn't know my parents hid the truth because the Emperor forced Sean to break the engagement, I said. Everyone tied to me is paying a price. Aren't you worried the Mengs will be dragged down? Leon lay with his hands behind his head. No. Our ancestor rendered great service to the founding emperor. We hold a gold pardon token. Any Meng descendant who doesn't rebel is exempt from punishment. I couldn't help being impressed, though my heart still quivered. He drawled, See? Marrying me isn't a loss. I'm the only one who dares to marry you. We bantered until the moon climbed high, then slept. Leon sent people to investigate the maid. She was from the Duke of Zhen's household, named Lily. After the banquet she vanished. The Duke's household couldn't find her either. Sean rose swiftly. The Emperor pulled him out of the Hanlin Academy and placed him in the Ministry of Revenue. He became a favorite overnight. Within days he was promoted to Vice Minister of Revenue, the man of the hour. People in the streets cursed him. Bah! We thought the top scholar spoke for the people. He's a traitor, I asked, puzzled. The Emperor appoints and dismisses at whim. No one objects? Leon snorted. This is nothing. His absurdities are many. I had been raised behind screens and doors. My parents never spoke of court. I learned reading and embroidery, the 4 arts. After moving to the Mengs, Leon took me out when he had time, to walk the dog, ride, wander the market. I saw the bustle of the red dust and the suffering of common folk. The Emperor was not only lecherous but stubborn and cruel, narrow and self-willed, a living echo of a tyrant. I understood why Leon kept his hands clean of politics. With a muddle-headed ruler, loyal ministers were powerless, and zeal could bring a death sentence. Sean then composed an ode to our sage emperor. Flowery words, empty praise, inventing glories out of thin air. The Emperor was delighted and ordered every official to memorize it for spot checks. Miss 1 character and they'd be demoted a rank. Leon missed 5 characters and was demoted 5 ranks. Luckily, rank fell, but his title remained. I saw his gloom. He never took it out on me. He kept trying to cheer me up. My heart ached for him. He was handsome and gentle to me. Aside from a sharp tongue, he had no real faults. I began to think, maybe I should let him sleep on the bed someday. So I hinted shyly. Autumn is near. The floor will be cold, maybe change places. He misunderstood and thought I meant the study. He declared with great resolve, Ha! The floor is spacious. I love sleeping on the floor. I'm addicted now. No one, not even the King of Heaven, can make me move. I covered my face and sighed. Floods hit the south. The Empress went to Hugo Temple to pray and required all officials' wives to accompany her. Before leaving, cheeks burning, I said, While I'm away, the bed will be empty. You can sleep on it. Leon blinked, lifted a brow. And when you come back? He was teasing. I mumbled, I won't kick you off again. He was tall. I had to tilt my head up. My forehead came level with his chest. Surprise and joy flashed in his phoenix eyes. He cupped my face with care and kissed my brow. Kui stood not far off and bellowed, Wow, look, my lady is blushing. My heart seized. After 3 days of fasting and bathing at the temple, we set off back to the city. Palace carriages took each household's ladies home. We drove for half a day. I lifted the curtain to ask how long. Drivers said nothing. Only when I was delivered into the palace did I know I'd been tricked. They locked me in a secluded hall. The Emperor, nearly 50, barged in, grabbing for me with both hands. I staggered back. If I don't return tonight, my husband will send people to find me. Your Majesty, please behave yourself. He grinned, yellow teeth showing. There's flooding in the south. I sent Leon to Chuzhou for relief yesterday. So this was the Emperor's plan. The Mengs were dragged in after all. I set a shattered porcelain bowl to my neck and threatened death. If you submit, he said, I'll recall your parents and reunite your family. I'll give you 1 day to think. Don't think the Meng's gold pardon makes you safe. I don't plan to let Leon return alive. Fear chilled me. Floods raged, and instead of caring for the people, The emperor thought only of women, and even planned to kill the relief envoy. I refused food for a day. The empress came to persuade me. Sister, being chosen by His Majesty is the greatest fortune. Think carefully. I gave in at last, weak with hunger, craven to the bone. Your Majesty, I want the Manchu Han imperial feast. Delicacies arrived dish after dish. I clutched a few and shoveled them into my mouth, all decorum gone. By night I had bathed and dressed and knelt at the door to wait. The emperor hauled me up. See, that's better. Then he stepped back and stared. What is this? Who are you? Guards, protect me. I could hardly speak. My lips had puffed like sausages. My left cheek swelled high, making my eyes look tiny. Hives covered every bit of exposed skin. The imperial physician diagnosed food allergy and asked what I was allergic to. I could only mumble. News arrived from Chuzhou. Riot among the disaster victims. Leon presumed dead. Shan came as the emperor's mouthpiece to make me submit. I raked his face and drew blood. The emperor flew into a rage. He ordered 20 blows and flung me out of the palace. While I recovered, Prince Rui rebelled. He marched north and was near the capital. The palace fell into chaos. The emperor urgently summoned my father to bring his troops back and defend the throne. Chapter 3. When the imperial guards came to the Meng manor, they saw white mourning banners at the gate and 2 coffins in the hall. One was a cenotaph for Leon Meng, the other was mine. My father commanded 200,000 troops. In a crisis like this, the emperor would seize me as a hostage to keep my father loyal. I could not be taken into the palace. Kui wept before the guards. My lady suffered unspeakable shame in the palace. She could not go on living and has followed the young Marquis in death. Using my ruined face as cover, we found the body of a woman my size and dressed it as me. The ruse passed the guards' inspection. After our wedding, Leon had shown me where the wine cellar was and warned me with unusual foresight. If trouble comes and I'm not there, hide here. Forget the money, let it go. I will come for you. I hid there, wounded and weak, in the dark. Stronger than I thought, Kui brought hot food and herbs each day. I told her to tell the others that if chaos broke out, each should save their own life. They needn't worry about me. Then, several days passed in silence. No one came. My injury made it hard to climb. Thank heaven there was still one living soul in the house. Each time I heard a dog bark, a few buns would drop through the hatch. The buns grew harder each day. The later ones were sour. But I held to one belief. Leon would return. When thirst scorched my throat, I cracked a wine jar and drank. It soothed me. I felt light as air. I drifted back to childhood. I was an only daughter with no playmates my age. At 6, after hearing the tale of boring a hole to steal light, I copied it and made a hole in our west wall. Through that small hole I saw a courtyard carpeted with peach blossoms. Servants swept with big brooms. No one spoke. It was very quiet. Our courtyard was grand too, with servants to sweep it. But somehow peeking through the wall into someone else's yard was more interesting. One day I climbed up to the hole, and 2 big blinking eyes filled my view. I fell back on my bottom. Hey, are you the general's daughter from the she house? A boy asked. That was how we met. After that, I often lay on my stomach by the wall. Through that small hole we talked for half a day at a time. For example, I ate 10 dumplings today. Nanny praised me. Or, does your mother spank you too? Or, my father wants 2 concubines. Mother made him kneel on a washboard, heh? Leon said. I've knelt on one too. Why? My mother likes brewing wine. The peach blossoms are for her peach blossom brew. I sneaked into the cellar and got drunk. No one could find me. But I wasn't Leon's first friend. He had Shan Zhang too. At the mention of his good friend, Leon couldn't stop bragging, pride all over his face. Shan is the son of merchant Zhang. He lives west of us, so he's my neighbor like you. His father often brings him to visit. His studies are excellent. Same age as me, and he's already finished the 4 books and 5 classics. My father says he's material for top scholar and high office. He's very kind, gentle and refined. Under Leon's praise, that young master I had never met became a legend in my mind. Later, when I finally saw him at old Marquis Meng's birthday, I thought the legend matched the man. He stood like a pine, calm as ink, courteous to a fault. Then we quarreled over the dog, and Leon and I became enemies. The past felt like a dream. Even drunk, I could smell peach blossom wine. Someone carried me up. I grunted. He covered my face with his hand. "It's bright outside. Don't open your eyes yet." When I adjusted, he took his hand away. Leon was travel-worn, hair loose, dust and blood on his face. I hadn't bathed in days. The swelling had gone down, but red patches still marked my skin. We both looked a mess. "You look like a ghost," I said. We stared at each other and burst out laughing. Then I threw my arms around his neck and sobbed into his chest. "Don't be afraid, Lin, I'm back." "Lin," I turned. Through tears I saw my parents. My father still in armor, my mother smiling through tears. Early autumn was cool and clear, high sky and thin clouds. The emperor had long lost the people's hearts. When my father heard of our deaths, he chose Prince Rui's side without hesitation and rose in rebellion. Leon had gone to Chuzhou to calm the victims. They had not rioted. It was the men escorting him who tried to kill him. His skills and caution saved him. My father sat in the grand chair and said, voice low, "We were banished. Lin was flogged in the palace. My son-in-law was nearly murdered. The source of it all is the emperor. As long as he sits that throne, our family will never know peace. I've fought half a life for this country. He dared touch my family. I will never forgive him." I lay on the bed, weak, and agreed with all my heart. Mother checked my wounds and frowned. "You're delicate, Tut. 20 blows in the palace should have half killed you. Why aren't they worse?" I tried to recall. Before the punishment, Sean seemed to whisper something to the guards. When the new emperor took the throne, he opened the treasury and sent aid south. After discussing it, Leon and I donated half our fortune. The former emperor's head was hung high on the wall. Even passing dogs spat at it. "Bah, finally dead. Bah, and that Jom, he colluded with him. Why wasn't his head cut off too? Ha, not only is he fine, he's now a first-rank minister. What a world." Leon frowned a few times while feeding me medicine. I pushed the bowl away. "You despise me now, don't you? You think I'm ugly." Whenever I said nonsense like that, Leon called me the most beautiful woman in the world, then hugged and kissed and lifted me high. At night, we slept side by side. He held me gently from behind. I grabbed his hand in a panic. "My backside isn't healed. Don't you dare." He hadn't planned anything, it seemed. He buried his face in my neck, voice tight. "I failed to protect you. You suffered because of me." Then carefully, "Lin, when you heard I died, were you sad?" The autumn night was cool, he was warm, very comfortable to lean on. I told the truth. "No." "Why?" He sat up, aggrieved, almost in tears. "Do you feel nothing at all?" "I knew you weren't dead," Sean told me. When I was trapped in the palace, Sean pretended to persuade me to yield to the emperor, but actually brought news that Leon lived. He told me not to give up and promised to help me out. So I staged a quarrel with him. He sweet-talked the emperor, had me flogged, and got me thrown out. He also warned me. If the situation shifts, General Xie will be summoned back to the capital. Protect yourself. If you become a hostage, it's your father who will be shackled. I didn't understand then. When word came that Prince Rui had risen, I prepared the false corpse and hid in the cellar. As the new court found its footing, Sean shed his old fawning and became a capable minister of order. I recovered. My skin returned to its fair glow. With or without makeup, I was a beauty again. On a brisk autumn day, Sean arrived in vermilion official robes. After years, the three of us sat together once more, not like our youth, and yet somehow exactly like our youth. He rose and gave a deep, formal bow. "I, Zhang, have done 3 wrongs. I have come to apologize. First, to secure my career, I proposed to Miss Xie and then broke it, bringing trouble to the Xies. Second, at the Duke of Zhen's housewarming, by order of the deposed emperor, I bribed a maid and put a drug in my folding fan to make the young Marchioness stumble, to stain your name and harm your marriage. Third, in the palace I warned the young Marchioness not to become a hostage. It was kind on the surface, but I had my own design." I asked, puzzled. "The third? What do you mean?" Sean hadn't answered when Leon did. If rebellion rose and General Xi was recalled, the best way for my wife to avoid becoming a hostage was to die. On hearing of his daughter's death, my father-in-law would never again support the deposed emperor and could stand with Prince Rui, the current emperor, without fear. I let out a long breath. So my plan had always been part of Sean's plan. He had bled for Prince Rui's cause. Kui huffed. "Then why did Lord Zhang arrest everyone in our manor?" "In name it was arrest," Sean replied politely. "In truth, protection. Leon ground his teeth. But Lin was still in the cellar. If little Juju hadn't carried buns to her, she would have starved. Sean drew a long breath and bowed to me several times. Forgive me, forgive me. I interrogated Koi and the others about where you were hidden. They swore you were dead. In the end, they almost convinced me. Wonderful. I was the only one who suffered. As a young man, Sean had won Prince Rui's favor. He swore to cultivate oneself, order the household, govern the state, and bring peace to the realm. Others took the exams to climb the ladder. He took them to kick the rotten court and make it fall faster. Leon called him a statesman in peace and Daji in chaos. Even in Leon's presence, Sean admitted calmly, I did truly wish to marry Miss Shi, but one cannot have both fish and bear's paw. I love a beauty at my side, but I love marquisates and ministries more, the chance to aid a wise ruler and make a flourishing age for the people. For hurting Miss Shi for my ideals, I have felt guilty day and night. Leon had dug out the truth. The deposed emperor ordered Sean to lace me with an aphrodisiac. Sean used only a muscle-weakening drug, so I didn't utterly lose face. Kui snorted. What good is an apology? Sean had prepared. He drew 3 linked jade plaques from his sleeve. As proof, I promise Miss Shi 3 favors. So long as they do not break the law or offend basic ethics, whatever you ask, even at the cost of my life. I thought it over. One doesn't refuse a free gift. I accepted, satisfied. My father captured the traitor and was offered the title of founding general by the new emperor. He declined on grounds of age. Leon, who had guided victims in the south to join the new emperor's forces, was credited and promoted 5 ranks, back to where he'd started. I could tell he had no taste for office. Sean belonged in the halls of power. Leon belonged on the open road. I was glad I had married Leon. We were the same sort. We loved flowers, birds, and dogs. We loved freedom and bright colors. Leon hired master craftsmen to build a great caravan wagon, a home on wheels. I saw the plans. A place to sleep, cook, drink tea, bathe, and do one's business. Little Juju even had a room, neat and ingenious. After months, it was done. On a night of bright moon and stars, Leon led me into it for the first time. Inside, red silk made it bright and festive. Huge red double happiness characters on the walls and windows. Red candles on the table. 2 jars of peach blossom wine. My face went hot. I'd imagined this day, but I hadn't expected this place. It was distinctive. Leon kissed my cheek. At last, the wedding night we've been waiting for. I never said I agreed, I muttered. Only your mouth says no, he teased. You're the one who's hard, I shot back. He considered it. True, I said. To steady myself, I asked for wine. After a few cups, Leon's face was redder than mine and his eyes went hazy. After so long in the cellar, my tolerance was excellent. I drained what was left and felt nothing at all. Leon? Meng third? Hus? Band? My good husband? I called him several times and waved a hand before his eyes. No response. His lids drooped. He toppled over. He couldn't hold his liquor. Delighted, I dragged him onto the bed, slipped off his shoes and outer robe, and had my fun. I poked his handsome cheek, scraped his high nose, kissed his mouth, and taunted, Are you not up to it? Meng third, is your tolerance not up to it? Leon's eyes snapped open. He grinned wickedly. Heat wrapped every inch of me. Clothes slid away. I was like a peeled lychee in his hands, sweet and irresistible. Moonlight washed the world outside. Osmanthus blossoms drifted down, my world turned, now warm as spring water, now storm and rain. Panting, I lay on his chest, tears trembled on my lashes. My cheeks were pink. On his shoulder, my fingernails had left red crescents. Hoof, his fault. Leon's elder brothers had done well in the provinces. The new emperor brought them to the capital as officials. My parents retired. Leon resigned too. One life, how can we not see the world, he said. Where the caravan went, we wandered. Sometimes we gifted jars of peach blossom wine to kind locals. It was a peaceful age. The scenery was lovelier for it. People praised the times, a wise emperor, a virtuous chancellor. The chancellor was Shan Zhang. He had once been cursed for flattering a fallen tyrant. He never explained himself. He simply did his work, and a path formed under his feet. We visited Shu province once a year, our homeland. Mountains rolled into the distance, tiny, perfect scenes appeared at every turn. And there were my beloved dried chilies. Before one such trip as I packed, I found a locked jade box. What's this? Don't look. Leon, blushing, tried to snatch it, but I had already pried it open. Inside lay neat stacks of paper. yellowed and covered in words. They were creased, then carefully smoothed flat. They were the crumpled notes he had tossed over the wall. "You never read a single one?" he asked, aggrieved. "No," Quai answered for me. "My lady said if paper balls showed up in the west yard, throw them all back." Extra. Leon's paper balls. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your dog. Father put me in confinement. When I get out, I'll leave the dog at your gate. Come get her?" "Lynn, did you see my message? Say something?" "She still doesn't have a name." "What should we call her?" "If you won't answer, I'll pick something silly." "How about Wonkai? Wonkai is acting strange. Sean says she needs a mate. I picked a handsome male for her. Wonkai is pregnant. When she has pups, we'll call one Little Juju." "Little Juju, if you still ignore me, I'll really use that name." "Fine. I know you won't forgive me. You're still mad, but I'll keep writing, I promise." I planted a peach tree by the wall. "When it's tall, I'll climb it with the dog so you can see her. My kung fu is better now. I can jump to the wall without climbing." "But I didn't see you." "Do you not live on that side anymore?" "Father died. First brother and second brother left the capital. It's just me now. Luckily Little Juju keeps me company, but she can't talk." "Will you say something to me?" "I've learned to manage the family businesses. The shops make an extra 1,000 taels a month. I hope father and mother would be proud." "I'm 17. Matchmakers keep coming. I, your young master, don't like any of them. You must be 13 now. Give it 2 years. I'll come to your house to propose."